Published on non-detail.com. One of the most popular drink, was not originally a beverage but was chewed like a vegetable since 6000 BC in Sichuan and Yunnan province in China and in Assam of India until 2500 BC. When the mythical Emperor Shennong drank hot water and accidentally tea leaves fell into it, he instantly felt the aroma and the energy of tea leaves. Since then, tea became an integral part of the Chinese culture. The Buddhist monks drank it to remain active during the meditation, and with the spread of Buddhism this tea culture too had spread from Burma to Siberia, to Japan and to the Middle East. Zen Buddhist monks took tea to Japan, and a lot of Japanese felt addicted to this magical medicinal drink, and conducted the ceremonial tea parties which are still prevalent in Japan. Across the world, the tea is either called chai or tea. There is no other word to it in any other language. This terminology essentially stems from one alphabet which is pronounced as cha in Cantonese or Mandarin and pronounced as te in the Min dynasty. Wherever tea reached through land route, there they call it as cha, chai, and if it was traded through sea route it was referred to as tea. Dutch were the first Europeans who traded tea, while Portuguese reached China first near to Min, so only Portuguese call it as chai, while the rest of Europe refers to this drink as tea. Until the 17th century the tea meant green tea alone, after which Chinese learnt to ferment these leaves and make black tea out of it. When tea reached English, they felt that it was very expensive for something which is a bitter medicinal drink, so it didn't spread within England. However, in 1662 when Portuguese Princess Catherine of Braganza married King Charles II, Catherine being a tea lover, after the wedding the first thing she asked for was tea. Noticing this as a potential opportunity, the East India Company, which was created by the Charter of the Queen, gifted the couple with 1 kilo of tea. Soon the elite class of England wanted to sip tea just like the royals, and this tea habit spread across England. The tea export from China flourished, and along with silk and porcelain, tea was among the top exports of China. China, which was already a closed society, kept tea manufacturing more closely guarded and made riches from its export. Being a rich nation already, China didn't accept anything else other than silver and gold against tea exports, and thus very soon England was left with very little silver. But English needed their tea, so they came up with a cunning idea of trading addiction with another addiction. By this time East India Company was ruling Bengal after winning the Battle of Plassey, and they had dwindled the riches of Bengal. Bengal, which was at 12% of global GDP, was now on the brink of famine. But the English masters did nothing, so around 10 million people in Bengal and Bihar died due to starvation. What we now call as the Great Bengal Famine of 1770. 6% of Bengalis died, and this left large portions of the land vacant. Many cultivated lands were abandoned. Much of Birbhum, for instance, returned to the jungle, and English forced the locals to cultivate opium in those vacant lands. And then flooded Chinese markets with India-grown opium. It didn't take much time for the Chinese to get addicted to opium, and then the English negotiated and traded Indian opium for Chinese tea. English made about $3 billion in 1830s through trading opium and tea, which rose to about $22 billion in 1870s, which in turn helped them to build a modern navy. While English rose to riches, the Chinese were facing an opium crisis. This irked the Chinese emperor, who in 1839 seized 1.2 million kilos of opium and dumped it into the sea. This act resulted in opium wars between 1839 and 1860. China was decimated and had to forfeit Hong Kong and legalize opium. English then traded tea across the world, and this led to the Tea Act, followed by the Boston Tea Party, which then resulted in American freedom struggle. Even though they were making money, the English were not very happy, since they still were dependent on Chinese for their tea supplies. So, they started exploring the options of growing tea within Assam in India, the territory that East India Company administered, as it discovered that tea plants grow in the wilderness of Assam. But English were not happy with the taste of this tea, so they sent a Scottish botanist named Robert Fortune into China disguised as a Chinese trader to learn the secrets behind the Chinese tea, since Chinese kept tea manufacturing a secret. Robert came back not only with the manufacturing learnings, he also smuggled several tea plants, plus he convinced 80 Chinese who knew the tea business to come along with him into India. After this, English learned that black tea is not a separate plant but a fermented version of the same green tea, and also learned that tea plant requires a certain weather and needs altitude. Later, English found Darjeeling to be the suitable region to grow these plants. Along with this, they also employed the same learnings in growing Assam tea plants, and to their surprise the tea yield from Assam was much superior in quality than that of the Chinese tea. Soon, the tea industry flourished in Assam. And since English colonized India, it employed Indians in this industry and subjected them to harsh inhuman conditions just like slaves, and forced them to generate higher throughputs. With this, the Assam tea was cheaper and better than the Chinese tea. Thus, the Chinese tea world exports dropped from 90% to meagre 5%. The Indian tea manufacturers went on to supply tea across India through rail network, which then led to establishment of tea stalls across all the railway stations. The manufacturers also promoted tea in a big way with hoardings and pamphlets on how to brew tea. They also Indianized the advertisements by portraying families enjoying tea together. Post-independence, these advertisements reflected the free India and the freshness of tea, thereby remained relevant. Tea became one of the largest exports of independent India and the largest foreign exchange earner.